Okay, look, before we do get into this week's episode of Raw Ups and Downs, I need to level with you. I'm a little bit worried because somebody contacted me on social media and their username was Alexa Bliss 7942 and they said, I'm the real Alexa Bliss. I don't like what you've been saying about me on your stupid so now much like Randy Orton, I'm gonna curse you. And look, I know that it's just wrestling, but that stuff really gets under my skin. So I got the heebie-jeebies and I'm feeling a little bit oogly-boogly. But hopefully nothing is going to shib. Just brilliant. Just brilliant. Is this what you wanted? Are you happy now, Alexa Bliss? I look like, I don't know, I turned upside down. I don't even know what that means. But my name is Simon Miller, welcome to WhatCulture Wrestling, and yes, we have just had another episode of Monday Night Raw, but was it any good, or did it suck cheese? Let's find out by giving the good bits an up, and the bad bits are down. I'm gonna just take this off, because the stupid hair is going into my mouth. And of course, I just called the show Monday Night Raw, but it's not called that, it's called Monday Night Bobby. Bobby Lashley, man, he is just hilarious. He just walks around or knocks on people's doors and says, I don't care what you do, I am going to destroy you. And that's what he did right here. Because I heard business of walking backstage when Bobby Lashley was interviewed. He was like, man, I'm just so happy and no one is ever going to take this title off me. They'll have to grab it from my cold dead hands. Even though The Miz then went in the ring and said, well, I'm about to win this back in a world title match. Do you know what happened? Lashley went out there, he killed him. Killed him! Lashley also has this badass new entrance with lightning bolts, and everybody loves lightning bolts, apart from when you're playing Mario Kart, because that just drives you absolutely crazy. And I just can't help it. Someone being this cool and someone being this dominating, it's just fun, it's just entertaining, it's just enjoyable. And I'm still 99% sure we're meant to boo Bobby Lashley, but screw that, I am going to cheer him until I don't have any lungs left. That's why all of this is getting up. This went around about 10 minutes too, and it was basically 9 minutes and 48 seconds of Bobby Lashley just whooping The Miz like he was his kid, and this is what the dad does to punish the child after they've done something wrong. And there's a title on the line. Look, that didn't work, but just trust me, if you're not planning on watching it, the Bobby Lashley we know is just an absolute killer, and that's what he did to The Miz. But yeah, beat up, hurt lock, submission done, still your WWE champion. And I suppose the key here was that Drew McIntyre was looking on throughout all of this, but he was doing it from the weird angle. I thought the wrestlers that we liked and we pushed to the moon didn't have to do this, but poor Drew got cranking his neck trying to watch the screen. When all was said and done too, he basically set himself up to be the #1 contender because he was all like, man, I am super pissed. I beat Brock Lesnar for the championship, and what does Bobby Lashley do? He beats me up and then goes and takes it from The Miz. Bobby, where the hell is your passion? Where the hell is your respect? Sheamus also has a similar thought process, but for different reasons, and he turned up here and then he started beating up Drew McIntyre backstage while also shouting, Drew, I'm sick and tired of being known as your best friend. I was like, Sheamus, you've been known as his best friend for literally around about 2 months. Drew threw stuff around when he was back on his feet and he was super duper mad. This is classic WWE stuff because you could just see where it was going. Somebody wins clean in a match the previous week, but we want to do it again, so we just come up with the skit. McIntyre then went to Adam Pearce and said, you better give me a no DQ match with Sheamus later, which we did get. And the only thing that irked me here is why isn't WWE advertising and promoting these things more? They should have done it last week, they should have done it here. People care about Sheamus and Drew McIntyre. Stop just making it all poof, magically appear on the screen. We then had another airing of a Rhea Ripley video, so hopefully she's gonna turn up on Raw soon. And then we were just in Backstage Central because it was time for Braun Strowman. And I have no idea what this was. It was clearly meant to be referencing something, but maybe it went over my head unless it was Space Jam and My Name is Earl. But even then, I'm not 100% sure, so I don't really think it worked. But he was talking about Bugs Bunny joining the Monstars and a bunch of other stuff, and when Braun just went, truth, I don't care about any of this, I'm really mad at Shane McMahon, R-Truth pretended to use the Men in Black flashy thingy and hoped that Braun Strowman would just forget about all of it. Answers on a postcard and send them to Bald Avenue in Bald Town? I was absolutely perplexed. Down. And then do you know what happened? A few weeks ago, I said, oh, I can tell that it's going to be Braun Strowman versus Shane McMahon at WrestleMania. And so many people got in touch with me and said, Simon, you're such a buffoon, you're such an idiot. And I am a buffoon and I am an idiot, but not because of this, because damn it, just to be an annoying tamale, I was right. Because Strowman was out here wanting to murder Shane McMahon, but then realised, well, no, I probably shouldn't do that because he can fire me. And I wanted to take him to one side and say, Braun, you don't not murder someone because they can fire you. You don't do that because they're going to put your ass in jail. That is not how the conversation would go. Braun Strowman would be like up there. Shane, though, then walked out, here comes the money, and he got in Braun Strowman's face, and he went, yep, all right, I'm sorry. And then he just walked off. Sarah Schreiber then tried to grab a word with him when he did go backstage. He was like, maybe I'll talk about it later. And I know what WWE was trying to do here. The whole Miz storyline that went the entire show last week did a good job in keeping the ratings up, so they're trying to do it again. But, you know, that was for a WWE title. This was a conversation between Braun Strowman and Shane McMahon. I don't think it has the same hook. There's also so many other guys and girls that need TV time as we do build to WrestleMania. What we are going to do is we're just going to put this in a little box and we'll return to it when we do get to round 2, because I could not believe my eyes. Then the no DQ match between Sheamus and Drew McIntyre ended in a no contest. Boy, that really tickled me pink. It's like if you never used to watch WCW, towards the end when they had just lost their minds, they used to do no disqualification matches that ended in DQs. However, this was so damn good, and Drew McIntyre and Sheamus have such good chemistry, I don't care, because for around about 20 minutes, I was super duper sports entertained. I mean, it was just an absolute mauling from start to finish, especially because Drew McIntyre jumped Sheamus during his entrance. He wasn't in for any of this poppycock. And then there was chairs, there was kendo sticks, there was steel steps. They were just trying to take each other's head off, and because I'm a sick and disgusting individual, I was here for every single second of it. There was also a rope to the groin, and I'm sure that Homer Simpson is going to enter that into a film contest soon. And at one point, Sheamus even had a chair, and Drew just went swam, and he punched the chair right into the Irishman's face. As that steel was now on the floor, Drew then gave Sheamus a future shock DDT into that thing, and then Sheamus was throwing other chairs at Drew McIntyre. This was an absolute war. And you could just see that it was developing into our version of wrestling tennis, when it's like, you go, I go, you go, I go. And sadly, or maybe not sadly, I don't know, you're gonna have to make your own opinion up, that really did literally time to the finish. Because both dudes got their own steel steps, they ran at each other, and much like in Rocky 2, they knocked the other one out. And the referee went to Drew and he said, Drew, are you gonna be okay? He was like, oh, I don't know what's going on. And he went to Sheamus, the IO King goes, oh, I don't know what's gonna go on. So yeah, he had no choice but to throw the whole thing out. And look, it's been a while since we have seen that ending, so it is good to roll it out here and there. And yes, once again, it's quite clear they're now going to do it again at Fastlane to determine who the #1 contender is going to be. That's the only reason I get annoyed at Fastlane, because it's just there, getting in the way. But still, no DQ ends in a no contest. Bless those people at WWE. And then we had a new interviewer, Kevin Patrick. Kev, my man, welcome to the show. And he was interviewing Omos and AJ Styles. And all AJ wanted to talk about is what a goofball Randy Orton is. He thought it was hilarious that he was a victim of voodoo. And straight away I was like, man, somebody should like coin that as a phrase, as a nickname, the victim of voodoo. And then the commentators can call you Bob. Orton then interrupted, and obviously he was mad. So he challenged AJ Styles to a match. And if you can believe it, that's our main event. And I just wanted to rinse Vince McMahon and go, hey pal, why don't you promote and advertise this stuff? That is literally a WrestleMania caliber match, and you're not telling anybody about it beforehand. It just baffles my brain, like literal worms. But it's money, and I was exciting, especially because Alexa Bliss's voodoo powers were on the line. Okay, that bit isn't true, but it must be so simple. This randomness then continued as the commentators then went, oh, we forgot to mention, next week on Raw, it is going to be the New Day versus the Hurt Business for the Raw Tag Team titles. And I took this as a personal shot, because there I was making my notes going, WWE should promote stuff more. And then they did promote stuff more, and it's just completely out of the blue. I thought Retribution were now involved in the Tag Team title program, and we'd already done the New Day one. Absolute baloney, I tell you. And look, it'll be a great match. It's always a great match, but that's the point. We've seen it 39,766 times. I don't think we need to go around it again. Down. Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston, though, did remind me instantly why they're so awesome, because they came out for a match and they were dressed like Scorpion and Sub-Zero from Mortal Kombat. It's just so damn good, and it makes me happy, and it makes me feel like I'm part of some kind of special club. And this was Xavier Woods versus Shelton Benjamin, and as mad as the return to this feud is, it was very, very good. up. Benjamin hit a crazy knee at one point right to Xavier Woods' face, and I think in that instant he just went up, who cares about wrestling? I'm going to knee you for real. And really, Shelton needs to come on my course where I teach wrestlers not to be distracted by people on the outside of the ring. Because halfway he just went, I don't like Kofi Kingston, I'm just gonna look at him. Conversely, Xavier has been listening, so when he saw this, he used the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment, the surprise roll-up. And of course, he surprised Shelton Benjamin for the 1-2-3, which also means next week on Raw, they're probably not winning the tag team titles. But yes, you know what just happened to bring down the board. There is our distraction counter, which rolls up to 36. I do believe we're using this finish a little bit like a crutch. Also, thank goodness we stopped counting the roll-ups. We would probably be up to around about 491. Riddle was being interviewed after this, and as ever, I just have no clue what he's on about. He's worried that his scooter would get a ticket if he left it backstage, but he wants somebody to keep an eye on it, otherwise he thinks Mustafa Ali is just gonna beat him up. Thankfully, the New Day walked by after their match and said that they would take care of this scooter while Riddle went and had a fight, and they also said afterwards they would go and play Call of Duty. All of this kind of felt like they didn't know the cameras were rolling, although man, Kofi Kingston is just the best, because when he went to grab the scooter, he went, "Get over here." If you know, you know. If you don't know, it doesn't matter. It's also going to be Ali versus Riddle for the US title next week, which is kind of sad because I was hoping we were going to save that for WrestleMania. But here it was Slapjack, whatever the hell his name is, taking on Riddle, and I tell you, it was short, but it was all right. There was lots of knees and lots of kicking and lots of backs and forth before Riddle did eventually hit the bro Derek, and I was like, woohoo, hey, good for him. He's got the 1-2-3. And obviously Ali was just shouting at Slapjack the entire time, going, you're absolute crap, you're absolutely rubbish, man, I wouldn't even get you to bake me a pie. And I think somebody should tell Ali, dude, I think your tough love thing isn't working. Maybe just go and give him a hug. Maybe go and give him his name back. Okay, so then we did get to take two between Braun Strowman and Shane McMahon. And it started with Shane telling Adam Pearce, I'm going to the ring, make sure Braun comes out, I want to talk to him. And then it was just stall, stop, microphone's not working, give me another one. I was pleading from my sofa, Shane, please say something, please say anything. Have words come out of that hole in your face. You want some money? I was chucking money at the screen, like, you want blood? I didn't do anything like that, it's really, really weird. But I was just desperate for something to happen, and yet nothing happened for ages. And it also meant for the first time in history, Strowman had a real reason to get mad, because even I was getting mad, and the whole point was Shane doesn't want to say anything, because if he did, it would be that Braun Strowman is stupid, but he doesn't want to call Braun Strowman stupid, even though he thinks Braun Strowman is stupid. He then started like Bubba Ray Dudley back in the Attitude Era and went, but Braun, as if to say, hey man, I think you're really stupid. And Strowman acted like he got on a bow and arrow and tried to kill him with it. He was like, how dare you embarrass me on live TV? I was like, dude, nobody is embarrassed here. Who cares if somebody calls them stupid? I get called stupid every single day. I'm like, you know what? It's probably true. It also ended up with Shane pretending he got in a car and spooled away. And Braun was like, well, I can't do anything about that. So he walked off. And then Shane McMahon just appeared back in the screen. He went, see, what did I tell you? Stupid. And once again, I was like, that's not stupid. If you see a vehicle drive off, you're well within your rights to go, well, that guy probably left. If you think otherwise, I think there's something wrong with your brain. It was terrible, this. It was absolutely terrible. And the worst part is, Braun Strowman is stupid, because last week when he had the tag team titles won, Shane McMahon went, why are you taking Adam Pearce? He did. That's why he's dumb, but he's only dumb within the context of that story. I got no words. I got absolutely no, I don't know what this was, but I am, of course, going to give it a down. And then we just had Naomi and Lana finally getting their Raw Tag Team title shots, probably because somebody went, oh no, you know we booked Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair to go again at Fastlane. We forgot that we also gave a tag team title shot to Naomi and Lana. So they kind of put it on a bit of paper and they slid it in the direction of tonight's plans, and then they skulked away and they hoped that nobody would realize. Also, poor Naomi and Lana, they have just been decimated throughout all of this. Down. Nia has also recruited Reginald after everybody and their dog yelled at him on SmackDown, and I got something deep down inside of me that is convinced this is Carmella, and she's now planted a mole on the Raw locker room or something. And of course this tied into the finish, because when Naomi was rocking and rolling, Reginald just grabbed her leg, so it counted as a distraction. Lana went to help but totally forgot about Nia, so Nia ran into both of them and crushed them. She gave Lana a powerbomb. 1, 2, 3. This was as easy as doing this. See how easy that was? Crossing my arms. It's not hard, is it? It's really, really not hard. And I don't even think Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler broke a sweat. Jax also picked up the fallen Reg because he'd been crushed throughout all of this as well and just carried him off. And I think we need to hit a big reset button on the women's tag team title program. We're just going round and round and round, and we ain't actually moving forward at all. Another interview with Randy Orton followed, and he was surprised to hear that his other wrestlers are concerned about him because one, he didn't think he had any friends, but also two, nobody's come up to him and said this to his face, so he doesn't know what's going on. And I was like, Randy, the reason is we don't know which version of you they're concerned about, because there's two of you now. He doesn't care about any of this though, or Alexa Bliss or The Fiend, because tonight the only thing he wants to do is give AJ Styles the RKO. Small spoiler, he doesn't get to do it. It was then just another bizarre segment. Why? Because Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke were here, and they were like, nobody takes us seriously as a tag team. However, we believe that we should be taken seriously in the singles division, so now we want to have a shot at the Raw Women's Championship. Charlotte then popped up and said that's what she's gunning for as well, so that these two now have 5 weeks to prove why they deserve to be in this match. And I was like, why does Charlotte get to decide who the hell is Charlotte? And then I figured it out. It was me, I did it, the wizard in the sky who secretly controls WWE. Now, I do have to level with you. The reason I did it is because I may have fallen out with Mrs. Wizard in the Sky, and she really likes Charlotte Flair. She thinks Charlotte Flair is the best wrestler in the world, and I'm like, okay, what can I do? So, I do apologize. I abused my powers, and I went Kabalani! And I made this segment happen because I thought that Mrs. Wizard in the Sky would see it, and she'd go, well, it must have been my husband Wizard in the Sky, because he secretly controls WWE, and then she'd forgive me. Instead, she thought this was Vince McMahon, so it hasn't helped me at all. It's been a very, very, very sad week for me. Okay, so at least now we know. But also, if you want Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose to be taken seriously, don't have them in 2-minute matches here and there, which they always lose. It really is quite simple. Styles then cut another promo saying that he was going to beat Randy Orton on the road to WrestleMania. And I was like, what exactly is AJ's road to WrestleMania? I can't fathom who the hell his opponent is going to be. It then did lead into our main event between AJ Styles and Randy Orton, and of course, this was brilliant. These two together are only ever going to be brilliant, and Omos was causing a distraction because that's what Omos does, but hey, by the time Orton was basically suplexing Styles into the announce table, I sat down, I got some snacks, and I was like, I am ready to go up. Orton also tripped AJ as he went for a springboard just to prove how much of an ass he is, and then when he went for the draping DDT, Styles reversed that into the calf crusher. These are the kind of transitions I need in my life. The only real issue is that we were all waiting for nonsense, because it actually would have made less sense if WWE hadn't put nonsense in this match, given what Alexa Bliss and The Fiend and whatever else have been doing over the last few weeks. So, as soon as Randy Orton was ready to hit the RKO, all of a sudden Alexa Bliss was on the big screen, and the lights went purple. Omos also made sure to pull Styles out of the ring to protect him, and then back to Bliss, she had one of those jack-in-the-box things, you know, and then something pops out, and she did half of it, and she went, oh, no, not yet, as if Bray Wyatt now lives in this box. If that is the case, he ain't ever gonna win a match again, he's gonna be like 2 inches tall. Instead, Alexa Bliss got a match out, she lit it, she blew it out, and as she did, fire came out of the ring post as if Kane was going to be returning, and then that black goo came out of Randy Orton's mouth again, and because this was happening, he turned around, AJ Styles gave him the phenomenal forearm, and he beat him for the 1, 2, 3. And my big question was, AJ, why aren't you distracted by this? And in fact, why is it only Randy Orton that gets distracted when this magical hoo-ha happens? So it is more gaga, but hey, at least this week we got a finish as Raw went off air with Alexa Bliss going tee. But this has to count as a distraction. Of course it does. So bring it down. We're up to 38. I will never get upset with an AJ Styles win though. And look, fair play to Randy Orton. He does sell black goo coming out of his mouth very, very well. If I wanted to believe that somebody was coughing up black goo, I'd go to Randy Orton and say, man, I believe you. You also just have to expect this kind of nonsense when it comes to Alexa Bliss and Randy Orton now. I mean, if WWE didn't do it, that would be more stupid. Which also means to get mad at it would be ridiculous. You either like it or you don't like it. I'm somewhere kind of in the middle. Before we do go though, very sadly, we do have to throw one last down into the mix, because all day on social media, WWE are going, man, we're gonna have a Hurt Business celebration and Bobby Lashley's gonna celebrate with his WWE title. And we didn't do it at all. And my question is why. You can't do this, WWE, mostly because I freak out and I go back through the entire 3-hour program thinking, well, I must have missed it. Let me double check. We're nerds, WWE. We'll never forget, if you advertise something, please either mention it by the commentators or just don't promote it at all. Down. Which brings us to the end of another Raw, and I'm getting to that place where I don't even know what to think, because it really is a program of two halves. Like, this one was quite match heavy, which I liked, but then we had Shane McMahon just going, I'm not gonna say anything, I'm just gonna walk around, and Braun Strowman going, say something. And I don't get who that's for. But as you know, when you do watch Ups and Downs, it's a positive Pete production, so I'll give it an up. Maybe. Now, don't forget to leave a comment below and let us know what you thought about last night's episode of Raw. Like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Head over to WhatCulture.com and read yourself some articles. Follow WhatCulture on Twitter, WhatCulture WWE, and other social platforms. And there's other videos around my head. Why don't you give them a click? My name is Simon for WhatCulture. I appreciate you joining me as always. Now let's all just calm down and get in our own vehicles and drive to WrestleMania. It's going to take a while. Still around about 5 weeks.